everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From BA to Broadway. You know who it is. It's me. It's Brennan, and I'm bringing you those general programming reminders. Folks, every Monday we are here with the main episode. Every Friday we are here with our mini-series. And just a reminder, on Sunday, February 9th, at 10:45 a.m., we will be coming to you live at BroadwayCon. Yes, folks, that is right. We will be joined by our very special guest, Cara Rose DePietro, for a live podcast recording at BroadwayCon 2025. So come check us out there. We would love to meet you all, and you can get tickets for that at BroadwayCon.com. Of course, today is Friday. I could not be here alone. I could never do it alone. Folks, I am, of course, joined by Mr. Daniel J. Solly. Danny, what's going on?
What up, fam? What up?
Oh, my God.
Let's bring that energy in today.
Amazing. I love that.
How we all doing tonight?
Danny, what's up? How's it going? How was your day?
It's so good.
That's great.
So great. Feeling good. Feeling great.
Yeah.
The Oscar noms are out today.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Wicked got quite a few.
Wicked did. Our girls.
I think 10 if I'm...
Cynthia.
Ariana.
Yeah, I was like, what's her name?
The other one. The pink one.
Glinda.
Yeah.
Cynthia. Glinda.
Yeah.
No love for John Chu.
That sucks.
I was surprised. He did not get a director nom.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like it.
I know.
Whatever.
Now I gotta watch all these freaking movies now.
Yeah. Well, I know one that you don't have to see. It's called The Brutalist.
Oh, I should see it again.
You're more than
love The
You're
Brutalist.
more than welcome to see it again. After you left yesterday, our neighbors were belting for the gods. We have some new neighbors next door.
Are you going to release this on the pod?
Yeah, I am.
You're calling out our neighbors?
I am.
I'm going to this.
Well, they don't, first of all. We have two new neighbors who seem to be musical theater people, which is strange because I've never been on the other side of that thus far. It's always just, like for the past 3-4 years, it's just been me in this building squelching at the top of my lungs. Now we have some neighbors doing it. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's really teaching me what's the word, empathy for neighbors who live next to musical theater people.
And I feel humbled too a little bit.
I've had to bang on the walls.
Danny did bang on the wall. Danny passive aggressively banged on the wall.
Look, I can't believe we're talking about this on a podcast.
Hey,
I hope they listen.
That would be amazing.
Come over for drinks, guys. Let's bury the hatchet.
Listen, I'll help you film your self-tapes for sure.
Let's get to know each other.
Yeah. Anywho, we're here to talk about a show.
We are.
What show are we talking about?
Some may call it the brutalist of musical theater.
Oh my God, what is it?
But you know what I call it?
What?
Camelot.
Oh, okay. Jeez. Oh, that's so funny.
Do you know Camelot?
No, I don't.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. I'm glad that you don't know Camelot because I wrote a very dense synopsis of Camelot.
Okay, great.
It's a lot. It's the brutalist of musical theater.
Amazing.
There's a lot going on in Camelot.
Next week, I'll teach you about Spamalot.
I know Spamalot.
I know, but...
We can talk about Spamalot next week.
Okay, great.
We won't, but we could.
Okay.
We could. And never fucking forget
Actually,
it.
we might
can do whatever the hell we want. What?
We have a guest coming on in a couple weeks that was in it, so maybe we talk about it that week. Who's to say? Anywho, yes, Camelot.
Tell
me about it.
Camelot is a musical.
So true.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah.
Music by Frederick Lowe and lyrics and book by Alan J. Lerner, the iconic duo Lerner and Lowe.
Iconic.
They obviously wrote My Fair Lady.
Obviously.
Among others.
Oh, I love it when you say that.
This is a musical based on the legend of King Arthur.
I've heard of him.
And this is actually a new tidbit I had never heard before, but in my research findings of, Wikipedia, the musical has become associated with the president of John F. Kennedy.
Wow.
Which is sometimes called the Camelot era.
Well, they called him the King Arthur of presidents.
No, they didn't.
They did.
Shut up.
Look it up right now.
His presidency is actually referred to as the Camelot era.
Oh, okay. That's why I was lying about that. So maybe it was true.
Because an interview after he passed with Jackie Kennedy, she compared her husband's presidency to King Arthur's reign and specifically mentioned his fondness for the musical and particularly the title song's closing lyrics. After that interview, it was disputed by other people who knew him how much he actually cared about the musical Camelot, but after she said it, it just became lore.
I feel like
that
if
he
anyone
loved
were to
Camelot.
know, it would be her, and he might not talk about that with all of his friends.
Right? But I also think it's funny, like, like if she was exaggerating and like maybe he saw it once somewhere. I was like, oh, that's a good show. And she was like, he loved this musical. And, you know, after she said it live in an interview, it just entered the zeitgeist.
Amazing.
And now he is remembered as having loved Camelot
I love
musical. So I thought that was kind of fun. And here's a lengthy description of the show.
Okay.
I mean, it's obviously based on, I'm sure you know the lore of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table as a nerd yourself.
Of course.
For those who don't know, I guess, right? King Arthur was
For those of you who don't know, I'm a nerd.
Yes.
Okay.
What is it? King Arthur was a random guy who pulled the sword out of the stone, and that's how he became king.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the show opens with King Arthur hiding in a tree, nervous about his upcoming arranged marriage. And while he is like wandering the forest, kind of in a nervous tizzy, he stumbles into Guinevere, who is his bride-to-be, but neither of them know who each other are. And so they start talking, and she tells him that she does not like the idea of being a queen and does not like the idea of an arranged marriage, and he tells her of all of the joys of Camelot. And so throughout this conversation, they fall in love at first sight, and it's only after this that she finds out that he is not only the king, but also her intended husband.
Oh.
So she goes through with the marriage, they get married, and then years later, Arthur and Guinevere are married, and he wishes to create a new kind of knight, one that does not pillage and fight, but tries to uphold honor and justice. And he goes on to establish the Round Table, which has become world-renowned. And so, as news of the Knights of the Round Table circulates throughout the kingdoms, a young and pretentious French prince named Lancelot du Lac is determined to join the Knights of the Round Table. And so he arrives in Camelot and tries to impress Arthur. Lancelot then has to duel several Knights of the Round Table for honor, and after mortally wounding one, he brings him back to life, and whether it's through magic or a miracle remains to be seen, but this gains him favor with Arthur and the knights and all the people in Camelot, and ignites a spark between Lancelot and Guinevere. And so Lancelot notices the spark between them and acknowledges it to himself, but just hopes that it will eventually fade. As years go by, Guinevere and Lancelot try and stay away from each other, but they just fall more madly in love with each other. I know.
Scandal.
Hence the incredible, beautiful song, If Ever I Could Leave You, sung by Lancelot to Guinevere. And so while this is all going on, Mordred, Arthur's illegitimate son, arrives in Camelot with a plot to dishonor the king and gain the throne. And so he enters an enchanted glade where his aunt, the sorceress Morgan Le Fay, dwells in an invisible castle. He bribes her with a supply of sweet meats. I didn't bother to research what that meant.
You know what?
He enters with sweet
I get
meats
it. I get it.
so that she would build one of her invisible walls around Arthur for one night, so that when he goes on his hunting trip, he will not be able to get back to the castle. And so with Arthur out of the way, Mordred incites the knights to remember their glory days of fighting and pillaging, and slowly turns them all against Arthur. With Arthur out of the way, Mordred also knows about the Brennan loins of Lancelot and Guinevere. So he leads all of the knights to Guinevere's chambers, where they catch her and Lancelot making out, because they succumb to their love for that one night. And so Lancelot fights them all off and escapes, but Guinevere is arrested, tried, and found guilty of treason due to her infidelity, and sentenced to be burned at the stake.
Is Arthur like unlikable during this, or is he just some poor guy that's getting the shit end of the stick?
In what way?
Like, it just seems like he like found this girl that he liked in the woods and was like sick, and then got married to her, and is just kind of like doing his thing, and then all of a sudden everyone's trying to turn against him, and his wife is trying to cheat on him.
Plot. That's the whole plot with Mordred. Mordred comes and turns the whole kingdom.
No, but like, is Arthur particularly unlikable? Like, or is this just all coming as a shock to him?
We'll get to that later.
Okay.
So Guinevere is found guilty and is set to be burned at the stake. And so at this point, Arthur is torn between upholding his law, the law and order of the land, or sparing Guinevere because he still loves her. And right before she is set to be executed, Lancelot arrives, kills several of the knights, and rescues Guinevere. And because he killed several of the knights of the Round Table and stole the maiden, Arthur now must wage war against Lancelot. All the while, Mordred has built an army against Arthur back in England.
Oh, no.
So everyone's at war over each other now, and Camelot is falling apart at the seams. And so, before the final battle, Arthur meets Lancelot and Guinevere. Their relationship has suffered due to everything, and Guinevere has become a nun, and the Round Table has essentially broken up totally.
Mm-hmm.
And so Arthur ends up forgiving Lancelot and Guinevere and sending them on their way, even though they still have to fight this huge battle.
Yeah.
And then that night in camp, Arthur meets a young stowaway named Tom of Warwick, who has come to join the Round Table. His speech reminds Arthur of the idealism and hope that he had when he was young, and it inspires him. So Arthur knights Tom and sends him back to England, where he might pass on to future generations the ideals of chivalry and Camelot.
Lovely.
And that is Camelot.
Is that the end?
That is the end.
Oh, so we don't know how the battle goes.
We don't.
Oh,
We don't. Because the battle's not the point.
so true.
It's the hope and the chivalry and the promise of Camelot.
You know what? Retweet.
That he sees in this young person. And it's
Mhm.
kind of the cycle of hopeful idealism and striving for like the ideal society, the ideal way of upholding law and order,
Yeah.
you know, and how that crumbles.
Yeah.
And it is, I call it the brutalist of musical theater because it is quite long.
Oh, really?
With long scenes.
Okay.
It's a very, that's always kind of plagued this show throughout history is
Gotcha.
the like, the score is universally loved and it's gorgeous score. All of the songs are beautiful.
Mhm.
The book scenes get pretty long and clunky. I love Camelot. I
Yeah.
actually really enjoy it. But there has yet to be an iteration, I think, where people have said, oh, they finally found a way to like write a really great book to match the beautiful score.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so in 1959, Alan J. Lerner and director Moss Hart wanted to adapt T.H. White's The Once and Future King as their next project. That's like the book adaptation of the Legend of Arthur. And Frederick Loewe initially had no interest on the project, but agreed to write the music because they were his partners. And after the success with My Fair Lady, there were very high expectations for the show. And maybe because of that, the show went through quite a large amount of hurdles during all of the developmental stages. For example, Lerner's wife left him during the writing process, and so he had to check himself into a hospital and seek medical attention for a period of time.
You know
which,
what? I get it.
halted everything.
Been there, done that. Am I right, ladies?
Bought the t-shirt. When they began out-of-town tryouts, the show ran for almost 4.5 hours.
That's horrible.
I think on their first ever preview of the show out of town, the curtain came down at 1 a.m. because it was so long.
I wouldn't be able to stay.
The reviews were actually quite good.
Oh,
but
okay.
everyone did note that the show needed drastic work and drastic cuts. And during their out-of-town run, Lerner had to be hospitalized because of a bleeding ulcer.
Oh, damn.
And right after he got back, Hart suffered a heart attack. So then Lerner stepped in as temporary director. And so they were all kind of at odds with each other, fighting about like changing what while who was away on their medical whatevers. And so this created a big rift between Lerner and Loewe. And so Camelot was actually one of the last collaborations between them.
Wow.
Yes.
Damn.
Eventually, though, the show opened on Broadway at the Majestic Theater in December of 1960 and ran for about 3 years. Ultimately directed by Moss Hart, and it starred Richard Burton as Arthur, Julie Andrews as Guinevere, and Robert Goulet as Lancelot.
Oh.
Do you not know that?
No. I don't really know anything about the show.
Sometimes I can't tell if that's like a sarcastic
That's
wow.
valid.
Like when I say obviously and you're like,
Yeah.
obviously.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Lovely.
One of Julie Andrews is another one of those girlies who's like done maybe 2 Broadway shows, but she's just like renowned as,
Of course.
you know,
She's Julie Andrews.
she's freaking Julie Andrews.
She's freaking Julie Andrews.
Man, she originated
Princess Diaries? Are you joking? Icon.
She originated Joys of Maidenhood. That's her song.
Wow.
And so then the first Broadway revival opened at the Winter Garden Theater in November of 1981. This one was actually broadcast on HBO,
Whoa.
starring Richard Harris as Arthur,
Oh,
OG Dumbledore.
yeah.
Beautiful. Arthur's not really a singing role, so I don't think he sang.
Oh, okay.
The second revival ran from June of 1993 to August of 1993. This one... This one was just a stop on a tour. That's why. Okay. I just... That's what happens when I'm just reading without thinking. That was
lovely.
And this one was at the Gershwin, home of Wicked.
I've heard of it.
With Robert Goulet now playing Arthur. He originated Lancelot. And then the one that I'm probably going to talk about the most, because I saw it several times. Gasp.
Oh my God.
We had the most recent revival, which opened at Lincoln Center in April of 2023. This one was directed by Bartlett Sher and had a rewritten book by Aaron Sorkin. And this cast featured Andrew Burnap as Arthur, Philippa Sue as Guinevere, and Jordan Danica as Lancelot. And friend of the pod, Holly Gould, was understudying Taylor Trench in the role of Mordred.
Wild.
And this production was like vastly rewritten by Aaron Sorkin. Like they took out all magical aspects of the show.
Oh.
And so it was, I mean, like, it's Aaron Sorkin, so it was just, like, very rooted in realism, and it was, like, real people doing real things. And I think they beefed up the ideas of politics and, like, Arthur's quest for democracy was, like, a huge plot point. And, like, the love triangle was, like, a huge plot point in this production.
Do you think that helped?
I think Andrew Burnap is quite a young Arthur as compared to how the role is traditionally played. And first of all, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. I think Andrew Burnap should have won the Tony for Best Actor. He wasn't even nominated that season.
Wow.
I thought he was absolutely wonderful. But I think that he is so good looking and so charming that I think that the love triangle didn't make quite as much sense.
Okay.
Like, he was so desirable, and I think him and Guinevere were written to have a much stronger relationship.
Okay.
So for me, I just kept questioning, like, why is she cheating on him? They have, like, a really solid career. He's, like, she has this, like, hot, charming king of a husband.
Yeah. She wants to leave him for this guy?
Yeah. So it just didn't, that part didn't really compute for me.
Yeah.
What was the question that you asked?
Do we think removing the magic and centering it in the realism helped?
I don't have a huge basis for the show. I think I saw like a regional production a really long time ago, and then my next time seeing it was this revival. So I don't really have a strong basis for like the way that it is traditionally done.
Heard.
But I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
It is very much like a long show with a lot of book scenes. There's a lot of soliloquies.
Heard.
Like The Brutalist, if you like a long, sweeping historical drama, I love it.
Yeah.
So I was here for it.
Heard.
I can understand why people might not like that kind of a show. I think that a lot of the reviews, like a lot of the reviews that I read for the Lincoln Center revival, just like kind of boiled down to you just don't like Camelot.
Okay.
You know, like if you don't like Camelot, you're not going to like it, even though it's reconceived by Aaron Sorkin. Like it's still the story. It's still a 3.5-hour musical about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah.
If you don't like Camelot, you're not going to like the revival. So I thought the show is kind of given an undue, like an unfair shake, because I really liked it. I saw it twice because I went when Holly played Mordred. Holly was wonderful. Yeah, Philippa Sue's got those gorgeous vocal. I mean, Philippa Sue is incredible.
Of course.
I can't wait to see what she does next.
I think she's going somewhere, that Philippa Sue. She's going places.
I think the world will know her name. One could say that she's been in the room where it happened.
Wow.
Several times.
Damn.
But yeah, they were playing. The Lincoln Center revival was not loved. It closed, kind of abruptly, and then they planned to like bring it to the West End and the national tour, and those both got scrapped. So it kind of, came and went, and it didn't get much love. I think Jordan Danica was the only Tony nom from that show.
Wow.
Like acting wise, at least.
Yeah.
Which I think is a shame. I think Philippa and Andrew should have gotten their due.
Yeah.
I didn't miss the magic.
Okay.
But I could see it is an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Because I think the magic is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
especially when you're in a very long.
And if we're talking about like the Knights of the Round, like that is a very like a knight in shining armor with like the magic and the you know, they're like Merlin is a character.
Yeah.
And instead of being like Merlin the magician, he became just like Merlin the old guy who like counsels him, you know?
Yeah.
So I could see why people were like, you took away the thing that makes Camelot.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
I didn't miss it, but who am I? You know?
Danny.
I'm just a guy.
I'm
just a guy. You don't know Camelot at all?
No.
You don't know any of the songs or the score or the music?
Correct.
That's really interesting. I bet you would recognize some.
Maybe.
Because it has a lot of standards. Like If Ever I Could Leave You, Joys of Maidenhood, the song Camelot.
Maybe. Who's to say?
Well, I think you're
I'm not recognizing them by name, but maybe if I heard
right now.
If I heard,
you should. I mean, whether you like or hate Camelot, gorgeous score.
Heard.
Highly recommend listening to the score. It's really, really wonderful. Listen to the OBC.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good songs for our book? ?
I guess.
Classical.
I mean, it's very, you know. I picked this show because we never talk about classic MT.
I mean, yeah.
I looked through our list of what do we call this little thing that we do in the spotlight. I looked through my little.
I can't believe we just did that.
Keep it in.
What's this little skit? What's this little skit that we do every week?
Be brave. Don't cut it. Cowards.
I won't.
Yeah, we don't talk about a lot of classic MT, and I think we should. The issue, I mean, I guess not the issue. The thing with classic MT is like everything. You know, we all know all the songs of classical musicals just because they're not new anymore.
Okay, heard.
But yeah, I mean, If Ever I Would Leave You, if you got like a gorgeous baritone voice, sing it. Simple Joys of Maidenhood, I think, is a deliciously hysterical song for anyone who's got the acting chops for it. There is the for my squirrely little tenor boys, The Seven Deadly Virtues by Mordred. That's like his evil little song.
Great.
The song Camelot,
Yeah.
The Lusty Month of May. Before I Gaze at You Again. It's got really, really good songs.
Heard.
Something that I also really, really loved about the Lincoln Center revival I guess this would be the creative team standpoint, is that everyone in the cast was very different, and all of the understudies were vastly different from the people that they understudied.
Okay.
So it's like, there's shows where you see an understudy and you're like, okay, I know exactly what the main guy did because you guys are carbon copies of each other. Like, that was not the case with Camelot.
Heard.
Like, Andrew's understudies were like of different races and 5 feet taller than him and completely different age group. So it was like, Holly was understudying Taylor Trench, and I know the other Mordred understudy, like, they all were people of different ages and different genders and different races. And I think that is, I love a production that's going to do that. I think that is such a valuable thing to add to your production.
For sure.
Because it keeps the show so fresh.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't think it's ever the fault of the performer, because they can't, this isn't something they can control, but when you just see a carbon copy of the other person, sometimes it's just boring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like, if you're going to understudy, recreate it. And totally. I know that's up to the creative team. Like, actors only have so much control over the license that they get when they're understudying.
For sure.
But that I love. I love that about this production. I thought it was something that should be way more common than it is. Because I think more common is we see a lot of carbon copies.
Yeah.
Who are understudying,
of course,
the people. That's how things should be run. If I was running this town.
That's the future the liberals want.
Yes. That's the future the liberals want. Bring back understudies who are different types than the lead.
Yeah.
Just wait till Fox News gets a hold of this podcast.
Oh my God.
They're like,
Gonna stomp us into the ground. They're gonna
like,
be like, we're actually the app Apple Podcasts shouldn't exist. It's promoting unfair values and bullying.
They're like, Andrew Brennan is a 5'4" white man. We can't have a 6-foot black man understudy Arthur. What does he think this is?
Never. The costumes will never fit.
What are they gonna do? Think money grows on trees?
Oh my God.
Trump like demands an apology from us.
Literally. And you know what? He ain't getting it.
Wouldn't it be kind of funny if Sunset MAGA Lady sang at the inauguration and I got to prove everyone right?
She'd still be like, I don't know why it's such a big deal.
I was texting my friend about it today, and she was like, I'm so obsessed with you just like only referring to her as Sunset MAGA Lady because we actually don't know. And I was like, look, she could run for president as a part of the Communist Party, and I will still call her Sunset MAGA Lady.
She's just got to say it. All she's going to do is say it. I'm sorry.
Even if she does say it, even if she shows me personally her vote, it's just too funny to me at this point.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, girly, you got yourself into this hole, and now you're Sunset MAGA Lady to me.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
You know who would never be a Sunset MAGA Lady? Philippa Sue.
So true. So true.
She was booked that season. Season of Camelot.
Yeah.
She went directly from Into the Woods to Camelot. Mm-hmm. I think we didn't give her due that season.
We didn't treasure her like we should have.
I think she actually should have gotten, if you want my opinion, and I'll give it to you. Thanks you so much for asking.
Yes, yeah.
I think looking at the scope of that entire season, she should have gotten a supporting actress nom for Cinderella.
Okay.
It's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
And she didn't get either.
No.
You know, I would take playing 2 leads on Broadway and no noms over no leads on Broadway and no noms.
Yeah.
But if we were to cherry
because
pick,
that's the trade-off.
That's the trade-off. And if we were to cherry pick, I would take 2 leads and no noms.
I agree. Not to be controversial.
Not to be controversial.
I agree with that. For sure.
That's what I gotta say. Andrew should have won. Wasn't even nommed. What bullshit is that? I don't remember who won. Who won that season? That was kind of a clusterfuck of a season. That was like the Sweeney Todd shucked.
Yeah.
Who won Best Actor? Let's see. By a leading actor in a musical. Oh, that was J. Harrison Gee.
Stop screaming at me. Yeah, how did we forget that? That was a monumental season.
I know, it was a historical win.
Wow.
That was J. Harrison Gee for Some Like It Hot, Christian Boyle for Some Like It Hot, Josh Groban for Sweeney Todd, Ryan Darcy James for Into the Woods,
Alex Newell.
That was Best
Supporting.
Featured.
Yep.
Best Featured Actor in a Musical was Alex Newell.
Yep.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Andrew should have... I mean, I can't say he should have beaten Some Like It Hot because I never saw Some Like It Hot.
Interesting, yeah.
But I think he should have been nommed.
Okay.
And if I could go back in time and see Some Like It Hot, then I would have an informed opinion.
That's true.
Which is why I have to go back and see MAGA Sunset Lady so I can confidently say that Audra deserves her 8 award.
Yeah.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles, baby.
Damn.
Yeah. Oh, Ben Platt for Parade.
Yep.
A New York guy.
Shout out to our friend of the pod, Justin Allbinder, currently playing Leo Franken Parade down in
Down Under.
Florida?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, he was just down under. Now he's in Florida.
Down Under.
Great.
I think we've lost the plot.
Yeah, the strand has gotten far away.
But there are actually several filmed versions of Camelot through the years. There's also a film version. I didn't do any research on it, but it exists. So go check it out.
Like a movie version?
Yeah.
Understood.
And they filmed I want to say the 1981 production.
Okay.
That one I did watch once because I was when I auditioned for Mordred, not the Broadway production. This was pre-pandemic.
Of course.
When I was a young spry chicken, I watched that one and it's quite good as well.
Gotcha.
And there's a bunch of bootlegs of the revival. And what did they do at the Tony Awards? A medley.
You love a medley. You love a medley.
Can't keep me from my medleys.
Never. Never, never. Anywho, folks, if there's a certain show you want to hear us talk about, you can let us know by finding us over on Patreon. That is patreon.com/BA to Broadway. All of our principal tier subscribers get to choose the shows that we talk about every week, so come and let us know over there. As always, you can find us on most social media platforms at BA2Broadway. You can find me at Brennan Stefanik.
You can find me at DSauls.
And until next week, folks, bye. From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and cover art by Jordan Vongsithi.